કિન્નરી મહત્વપૂર્ણ સમાચાર પર નજર કરીએ તો વિરમગામનો હત્યારો પતિ એફબીઆઈની મોસ્ટ વોન્ટેડ લિસ્ટમાં છે। મેરીલેન્ડમાં પત્નીની હત્યા કરી હતી। એફબીઆઈના ટોપ વોન્ટેડ લિસ્ટ
Hello and welcome to The Most Wanted. Today we're exploring the story of Bhadreshkumar Patel. Bhadresh for short, he's been on the list since 2017, where he was the 514th person to be added to the infamous list. Number 3 on the FBI's Most Wanted list, numero 3 if you're in Spain, or Nambara Trana if you're from Viramgam, Gujarat, which is exactly where this story begins. Bhadresh Patel was born in 1990 and was from the lesser-known village of Kantrodi, just slightly north of Viramgam. A small town of 55,000 and can be found in the northeast of the country, near to neighbouring Pakistan, and is known for, well, not really that much. Surrounded by 3 lakes, the most famous being Mansar Lake, that to be fair, does have some pretty impressive architecture. It was here where Bhadresh was introduced to his wife Palak in August 2013 via some family friends. Bhadresh was 24 and Palak was 21 years old. The couple married the same year in November and planned to search for a better life outside of the confines of poor rural India. They'd heard from friends and family of Bhadresh, including his mother, who was resident at the time in New Jersey, that the US was really the place to be. They visited first in early 2014 on a visitor's visa, returning to India shortly thereafter, and the couple had made their mind up. They applied for another visitor's visa, more specifically a honeymoon visa, a B1 or B12 visa, with what appeared to be the intent of overstaying on that visa. They flew shortly thereafter to the US to enjoy their new life together. But Palak Patel's joy soon turned to misery as she immediately became homesick, really missing her family back in India, and was often on the phone to her parents to let them know how much she wanted to return home. This frustrated her husband, as he was comfortable in the US, and she soon found out that her life was to revolve solely around that of her husband's. The difference was that Bhadresh had friends and family there, but Palak didn't. In March 2015, Palak's parents came to the US to check on their daughter and her relationship, leaving a month later when the couple agreed to live peacefully and happily together. With this, they both agreed to get on with life, and they moved from New Jersey to Maryland, where they both got jobs at a Dunkin store in Hanover. This was owned by a cousin of Bhadresh. They lived nearby in an apartment, and the couple settled into a nice routine. The routine in the Dunkin store was very simple. Palak and Bhadresh would cover the 12-hour night shift, while his cousin and his wife did the 12-hour day shift. Bhadresh was comfortable in his new surroundings of family and friends, whilst Palak, on the other hand, began finding herself increasingly isolated. It's not easy when you're in a foreign country with no friends, a strange culture, language, and a bit of a shitty husband. Every minor domestic issue they had as a couple, Bhadresh's family would side with him, and she felt totally alone. And whilst there were no reports of domestic violence between the couple, it was reported that county police had responded to their Hanover apartment for a call about loud noise in December of 2014. Naturally, divorce was out of the question for Bhadresh. They'd come too far. On the evening of April the 12th, 2015, the couple were both working a night shift in the store, as they always did, and at around 9:15 p.m, Palak received a call from her mother back in India. They caught up and Palak again reasserted the fact that she missed home and she wanted to come home as soon as possible. On this call, her mother and a relative had arranged a plane ticket for Palak. She was to return to her homeland on the 17th of April. She really wanted to come home, and she was really anxious about overstaying on her original visitor's visa. But Bhadresh had other plans. While she was on the phone to her mother, Bhadresh was listening in, and 15 minutes into the call he flew into a rage, ripping the phone out of his wife's hands. He then exclaimed down the phone that no wife of his was ever going to leave him and go back to India. He started speaking with his mother-in-law on the phone, asking Palak to follow him out of the back of the store. The argument continued off camera, where Bhadresh hung up the phone and beat his new wife to death. He stabbed her with a kitchen knife several times, including once in the face. Here is the CCTV that has been released from that event, and for obvious reasons the footage of the murder have been omitted from broadcast and have not been released to the public. but the footage does exist. At 9:33 p.m, he exits and appears back on camera again. Watch him as he calmly walks out, turns the oven off and exits the building. Palak lay there for a while, and as it was only the two of them working that evening, there were no other colleagues there to spot the body. The Dunkin Donuts franchise was slightly set away from other stores in the area. A Staples and an Aldi were nearby, but they were far enough to not hear any disturbance. 10 minutes went past and Palak was still laying there. Another 10 minutes passed. Eventually, customers in the front of the Dunkin Donuts franchise became frustrated by the lack of service. It had been half an hour and there was no staff visibly present. They thought something was up. They wanted to get their donuts. So they began shouting and trying to holler from behind the till. Nothing. More time passed, and a customer noticed that there was a police car just parked outside, filling in some reports about a completely separate case. They went up and knocked on the door and asked the police officer to go in and investigate. It was one of those times where law enforcement happened to be in the right place. I wouldn't say they were there at the right time, but we'll give them the right place. So it's around 10 p.m. This is almost 30 minutes after the murder. And the officer finally goes in to investigate. And boy, he is not prepared for what he saw. Police check the surveillance video and are stunned with what they see. They believe that this was a crime of passion and that there was no premeditation in the murder. But with the extreme nature of the assault, you could tell that the rage had been boiling for a long, long time. A day later, a local arrest warrant was issued in the District of Maryland, where Bhadreshkumar Patel was charged with first-degree murder, second-degree murder, first-degree assault, second-degree assault, and possession of a dangerous weapon with intent to injure.
The violence in this case was stark. It was heart-wrenching, and it was a shock to our collective conscience on the police department.
As the suspect wasn't identified for a half an hour, this gave him a valuable head start over law enforcement. As they didn't live far from the place of employ, right after the murder, Patel proceeded on foot back to his apartment, grabbed some belongings, including his passport, and walked over to a mall, where he then got in a taxi. The taxi driver said that he appeared calm, sleeping the majority of the time as she drove him 200 miles to a Best Western hotel near the airport in Newark, New Jersey, on a trip allegedly to visit his cousin. His calmness really indicates to me that the thought of killing his wife had crossed his mind before. For a human to act this calm in a horrendous situation really, for me, does show elements of pre-planning. You know, if shit hits the fan, what do? Humans, even when they commit the most heinous of acts, are often overcome with emotion. But what is a very common theme in those that stay on the run, keeping level-headed after the crime is key. And most normal people are unable to do this, which is why they end up getting caught soon after the event. These are the last images of Bhadresh Patel in existence, at least the ones we know. This is him paying for a hotel room in Newark with cash, wearing dark trousers and a dark blue shirt. According to investigators, he checked out the next morning at 10 a.m. and hitched a ride on the hotel's courtesy shuttle van to Newark Penn Station to catch a train. According to an interview with the shuttle driver, he was the only person to be dropped off there, and then he vanished. Newark's Pennsylvania Station, an Art Deco building originally built in 1935, is a travel hub, the 7th busiest rail station in the US, also served by multiple bus carriers. It's a perfect place to blend in and a perfect place to make an escape. You can get literally anywhere. As soon as state police realised he crossed state lines, the FBI were informed, and a federal arrest warrant was issued in the United States District Court in Maryland on April the 20th, 2015. A no-fly status was applied to his person, and a publicity campaign was launched in order to bring the fugitive to justice. This included this billboard in Times Square. And on Tuesday, April the 18th, 2017, 2 years after the murder, Bhadresh was added to the FBI's most wanted list.
Still no signs of Bhadreshkumar Patel. I mean, it's been 6 months now, and they're still looking for him. Anne Arundel County Police say Patel killed his wife as they worked together at a Dunkin' Donuts at Arundel Mills.
Now they have some extra help from the FBI. ABC's Don Harrison talked with County Police today.
This is security camera video of Bhadreshkumar Patel and his wife, Palak Patel, working at the Dunkin' Donuts in Hanover. As they worked in the back, several customers were out front. Moments after this video was captured, police say Patel brutally murdered his wife with a large knife and left.
We feel like he, at some point, used a means to get up to New York or New Jersey. We think he had some family members in the area up there.
Police say a cab driver came forward after hearing about the murder and said he drove Patel to the New Jersey area where police believe Patel has family. This is a security picture of Patel checking into a hotel in Newark, New Jersey. With video of the murder and pictures of him in New Jersey, the police have a lot to go on, yet Patel is nowhere to be found. Now county police have more help, this time from the FBI.
We just feel like that this is an added bonus, getting our FBI, our federal partners involved, and putting this picture up in Times Square where obviously millions of people visit. So we're hoping that someone sees his face, someone recognizes him, and someone will call and give us a location where he's hiding.
County police are hoping someone in the New York, New Jersey area will see the picture of Patel plastered on a screen bigger than any billboard in Baltimore and come forth to say where he is. This is a picture of happier times from the wedding before police say Patel killed his wife, Palak. Now police are hoping this picture will bring Patel home, where police are confident he will be brought to justice.
So the murder is on tape, and it does show Mr. Patel killing his wife, and so that's why we believe that he is the suspect, and that's why we are doing everything in our power to track him down at this time.
In Anne Arundel County, Don Harrison, ABC 2 News.
The federal agents also suggested a possible line of inquiry that Bhadresh had slipped into Canada, then flown to India, but this is all, of course, unconfirmed, at least to us. Authorities suggest that he's still in the US, as it's unlikely he would have been able to flee, with all the difficult travel restrictions that were placed upon his person.
Mr. Patel has not legally left the United States of America. I think that the heat has to be kept high on a boil here in this country. And then I think that the addition to Mr. Patel to the list lets us turn that heat up beyond our borders also.
If you ask me, he'd easily be able to flee back to India using a fake passport, but I think his arrogance would keep him in the country. With a strong family and friend network, unlikely to cooperate with authorities, this seems like the most likely plan. According to the FBI, his own family members across the US have been talked to and have been cooperative in conjunction with the search for Bhadresh, but I would likely suggest that they're not all telling the truth. It's unlikely that he's going to come to this level of success without any help from friends or family. Outside of India, he has links to Canada, New Jersey, Kentucky, Georgia, and Illinois. All of these places, according to the FBI, are where known family members are living. The FBI have, unfortunately, no leads on where he could be hiding, and at this point he could be anywhere. The FBI have been in touch with law enforcement not just in Canada, but in the UK, South America, and all around the world in processing these leads. And there have been several leads since 2015, but none that have materialised in an arrest. So the best thing the public can do is call that number, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or go onto the FBI Tips website should they think they have an idea about his whereabouts. The FBI consider the fugitive to be dangerous. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.